What if the person you trust the most is the very reason your family is falling apart? That's the question I couldn't shake while watching Beyond the Gates lately. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more uncomfortable it gets. Because this isn't just about betrayal anymore. It's about denial, it's about perspective, and most dangerously, it's about choosing not to see the truth when it's right in front of you. Let's talk about Vanessa, let's talk about Deanna, and let's talk about Joey, the man quietly sitting at the center of a storm that is only getting bigger. The situation simple on the surface, messy underneath. Here's the quick version. Vanessa is in a relationship with Joey. She believes in it. She defends it. She wants it to be right. Deanna? She rejects it completely, emotionally, aggressively. Darnells stands in the middle, trying to keep the family from collapsing. Sounds like a classic family conflict, right? But here's where things start to twist. Vanessa isn't being fully honest about her relationship with Joey. That alone changes everything. Because now Deanna's resistance isn't just emotional, it's rational. She's reacting not only to what she sees, but to what she senses is being hidden. And let's be real, when someone hides the truth, it's usually because the truth doesn't look good. Vanessa versus Deanna, this isn't just rebellion. At first glance, you might think Deanna is just being difficult, stubborn, maybe even disrespectful. And yes, let's not ignore it. Her tone toward Vanessa is often harsh, uncomfortable, even unfair at times. But here's the part people overlook. Deanna isn't reacting out of nowhere. She's reacting to patterns. She doesn't like Joey's personality. And she's not alone. Nicole, for example, also doesn't have a positive impression of him. That's important because when multiple people independently feel uneasy about someone, it stops being personal bias and starts becoming a signal. So I have to ask, is Deanna really the problem? Or is she the only one willing to say what others are too polite or too afraid to admit? Joey charming or calculated? Let's break this down logically. Why does Deanna dislike Joey so intensely? There are 3 core reasons. 1, his personality. Joey doesn't come across as warm or trustworthy. He's guarded, controlled. And when dealing with Deanna, he becomes even more rigid. That's not neutral behavior. That's defensive. And defensive people often have something to protect. 2, his business. Deanna points out that Joey's business isn't exactly clean or stable. That matters more than people think. Because in storytelling and in real life, financial instability often correlates with moral compromise. It raises questions like, where does his money come from? What risks is he taking? Who gets hurt when things go wrong? And most importantly, what kind of environment did he pull Doug into? 3, Doug's death. This is where everything shifts from tension to something much darker. Doug didn't just die. He left a casino drunk, vulnerable, and then suffered a devastating accident. And Joey, he was there. He allowed it. He didn't stop it. That's not a small detail. That's a defining moment. Because when someone has the power to prevent harm and chooses not to, that silence becomes responsibility. The hidden truth and why it matters. Let's be clear, the full truth about Doug's death is still being hidden. But the narrative is already pointing in one direction. And if you look closely, Deanna isn't just grieving. She's investigating. That's what makes her character so interesting. She's not blindly emotional. She's suspicious, observant, unwilling to accept convenient explanations. And honestly, she might be the only one asking the right questions. Darnell, the voice of reason or the voice of acceptance? Darnell's role is complicated. He's not fully supportive of Vanessa's relationship with Joey. He sees the issues, but he also understands reality. Doug is gone, and Darnell doesn't want his mother to live in endless guilt and grief. So his approach is different. He chooses stability over confrontation. He wants peace. But here's the problem. Peace built on denial is fragile. Darnell is trying to fix emotional damage without addressing its source. And that works until it doesn't. Deanna's pain, the part no one is addressing. This is where I fully side with Deanna. Not in how she speaks, but in why she feels the way she does. Because let's strip everything down to the core truth. She lost Doug. She suspects Joey. She sees her mother defending the very man she distrusts. And no one is truly validating her pain. That's a dangerous emotional combination. And what does Vanessa do? She focuses on her own happiness, her own relationship, her own version of reality. Meanwhile, Deanna is left alone with unanswered questions and unresolved grief. So again, I have to ask, how is Deanna supposed to react? Calmly? Politely? Rationally? That's not how trauma works. Vanessa, victim or catalyst? Now let's talk about the most uncomfortable truth of all. Vanessa is not just a victim in this situation. She is also a catalyst. Because her choices, especially her emotional and possibly physical involvement with Joey before Doug's death, created a chain reaction. And even now, she continues to defend Joey, avoid difficult truths, dismiss Deanna's concerns. She believes she's protecting her happiness, but in reality, she's deepening the fracture within her own family. And here's the harshest part. She may have indirectly contributed to Doug's downfall. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but through denial, through misjudgment, through trust placed in the wrong person. The Fairmont Crest factor. Deanna's arrival at Fairmont Crest changes everything. Before, Vanessa had space, freedom, control over her narrative. Now, every interaction is tense. Every conversation is loaded. Every moment with Joey is being watched, judged, challenged, and that pressure exposes cracks. Because relationships built on unstable foundations don't survive scrutiny. They collapse under it. Joey versus Deanna, a war of perception. What fascinates me most is how Joey handles Deanna. He doesn't try to win her over. He doesn't soften his image. He stands firm, cold, unyielding. And that is a mistake. Because if he were truly innocent, truly genuine, wouldn't he at least try to build trust? Instead, his attitude reinforces Deanna's suspicions. It makes him look calculated, strategic, like someone who knows exactly how much to reveal and how much to hide. The twist that needs to happen. Now let me say something bold. Doug might not be truly gone. And if he returns, everything changes. Because imagine this. Doug comes back. He reveals what really happened. He exposes Joey. That wouldn't just be a plot twist. That would be a reckoning for Vanessa, for Darnell, for the entire family, and most importantly for Deanna, who has been carrying the truth alone. Why this storyline works, even when it hurts. What makes this arc in Beyond the Gates so compelling isn't just the drama, it's the realism. Because at its core, this isn't about good versus evil. It's about perception versus truth, love versus accountability, healing versus avoidance. Every character is making choices that make sense from their perspective. And that's what makes the conflict feel real. My final take, and it's not comfortable. I don't support how Deanna speaks to her mother, but I support why she refuses to accept Joey. I understand Donald's desire for peace, but I think he's ignoring a deeper problem. And Vanessa? She's the one I struggle with the most. Because she's not evil. She's just choosing not to see. And sometimes that's worse. The ending we deserve. Here's what I want to see. The truth about Doug revealed. Joey exposed for who he really is. Vanessa forced to confront her choices. Deanna finally validated, and maybe just maybe, a moment where Vanessa realizes that the man she trusted was the very reason everything fell apart. Because if that moment comes, it won't just be dramatic, it will be devastating and completely earned. So let me leave you with this. What's more dangerous, someone who lies or someone who refuses to question the lie? That's the real story here. And I have a feeling we're only just getting started.